This video is about the hints, clues and confirmations which may be contained in the map created by Benchmark Maps, which was included in the book published by Forrest Fenn titled Too Far to Walk. This copy has been downloaded from the internet. The only variations I have made are numbers referring to word numbers at the end of each line. This video is made on 3 November 2021. It covers something which possibly Forrest Fenn may have covered or should have covered post-find in 2020. The first item to note on the map is the oversized C, which seems to be substantially larger in font size than the rest of the heading for the map. The relevance of this is that it may be drawing attention to the C in Colorado, which falls on the 9-degree declination line, and the relevance of that, zooming in, may be where the line crosses the C, forming somewhat of an omega shape. The apparent discrepancy in that crossing is that the line crosses the first letter of Colorado, which would seem to be unusual or should possibly result in a masking of the red line where it crosses the C in Colorado. Something to consider in the orientation of the treasure map is suggested by two other aspects of Too Far to Walk, the book published by Forrest Fenn. Firstly, in regard to postmarks, you will notice that the text runs up the page from the postmark. Here are some examples from Mysterious Writings website through Google Images. The other thing to note is the use of angled or tilted pictures in Too Far to Walk and in The Thrill of the Chase, such as this image here and also images on many other pages. Perhaps the hint in the tilted images and in the postmarks is to change the orientation of the map to landscape, that is, rotate the map 90 degrees. There may also have been hints published online in YouTube chat rooms by a user known as 23 Monarcha, which draws attention to being right, possibly in relation to the right side of the map. Here are some examples of those comments. Getting back to the map, if that is rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise, which is that layout there, if you zoom into Colorado, you will notice that this part here looks very similar to a mountain peak, and of particular interest is this line here, the border, which would meet the ridge line just below the peak of a mountain. The similarity here is in relation to the Eye of the Needle in Yellowstone National Park. This is the Eye of the Needle along this ridge line here at 9,747 feet, which is just below the peak known as the Needle, which is 9,901 feet. The 110-degree meridian falls there, so it is fairly close to the border, as suggested in the map by Benchmark Maps. The relevance of the Eye of the Needle as a key location is related to the line "Tarry scant with marvel gaze," where tarry scant is rhyming slang for Cary Grant in the movie Mr. Lucky from 1943, and Marvel Gaze refers to the Marvel Comics character, the Needle. You can look up his superpower online. Zooming in, this is the area in Yellowstone National Park. The solve is basically a line from the Eye of the Needle to Death Gulch down here, which passes through this parcel of land here, which basically has an island or banco shape, and that roughly correlates to the benchmark maps illustration in respect of this area here. So if you use the postmark analogy, that is roughly the postmark area, the circular area, and that is the text of the location. So perhaps that is the answer to what the postmarks mean and how they hint at the solution. One other thing I should mention is the possible use of errors as hints by Forrest Fenn in the chase. In respect of Colorado, notice that the stem of the letter R seems to be slanted to the right, which may be another hint. If you look up Forrest Fenn interviews on YouTube, you may find quite a few where Forrest is wearing a violet coloured sweater. If that is some sort of hint as to one end of the rainbow, as in the order of colours, perhaps the other end is red, which correlates with Colorado meaning colour red. I realise there is a flaw in that thinking, in that one end of the rainbow is not red and the other violet. It is a sequence of colours when they are stacked in a rainbow. However, maybe this is artistic license from Forrest Fenn. This is an illustration, a rough illustration of what I mean by the line stretching from the Eye of the Needle down to Death Gulch, with the blaze indicating a point on the line, usually at a right angle. This is a further illustration of the area on the map which I am referring to. Back to the map, the word blaze is the 87th word in the poem, and if you follow straight across from there, you get to Aspen, and this highway is labelled as Highway 87, or appears to be Highway 87 when it is actually Highway 82. Maybe that is some creative work by Benchmark Maps and Forrest Fenn. So the implication may be, if you draw a line quickly down, as in a right angle to the line of declination, you end up with a point somewhere around here, which you will notice there's two lines there which cross, which may be indicating where the lines join. Plus you also have the line of declination going through there, and there are other lines which I will also show you going through that point. There is also this image from Dale Neitzel's website from some time ago in scrapbook 23, which shows a blaze on an aspen tree. Maybe aspen is a hint. And in Google Earth, the blaze, being this rock here, seems to have some bright shades which may be suggestive of aspen trees. Whether they are actual trees or someone has just done some work on Google Earth imagery. Also on the map are highways 285 marked here and 286 marked here, using the word numbers in the poem the poem is 166 words long. So perhaps if you take 166 from 285, you end up with 119, and in respect of Highway 286, that would correlate with word 120, and that would come out to my trove. So perhaps drawing a line between the markings for Highway 285 and 286, you end up with an image something like this, which means that all the lines cross somewhere around this part of the map in Colorado. However, I believe this is a confirmation rather than the actual location of the treasure chest or where the treasure chest was found. Also notice the two plus signs, one for Mount Elbert and one for Pikes Peak. If you draw a line through that, it similarly goes through the same point. The relevance of that may be related to this drawing from Too Far to Walk, which includes two crosses, two plus signs above the bedhead. You may remember this quote from the book The Thrill of the Chase on page 125. And when my tackle box is closed at last and the caddis hatch is gone, I will rest through all of time and space, pillowed down and centered in. Going back to the benchmark map, if this area here serves as confirmation of the treasure location, perhaps the relevance is this part here, Florissant Fossil Beds National Monument. Florissant refers to flowers or plants and possibly scents, plus beds, so this may be the point which Forrest Fenn is referring to, which is in purple writing, so perhaps this is what Forrest was referring to, and perhaps as a hint or clue as to the location of the treasure chest. One other thing to note is from this orientation, the star for the capital city, which seems to be tilting slightly left. If you go to the Google Earth image of the suggested treasure location, there appears to be a star in the shadow of this tree, so you can understand where it's located. So there's a point there, the top point, another point, and two slightly obscured down here. So with that orientation, it seems to correlate with the orientation in the map here. I don't know if this blue line is some indication where the star may follow the line to be located down there near the purple text and the box for Florissant Fossil Beds. The misnumbering of Highway 82 as Highway 87 may accord with the quote concerning Eric Sloane from page 7 of The Thrill of the Chase, where Eric Sloane was known to falsify his date of birth or year of birth by 5 years. Perhaps there is a correlation there. This quote from page 6 of The Thrill of the Chase may also be a further indication that the highway numbers have been changed, as in varied are the many roads I've travelled to reach my 80 years, and not all have been paved with smiles and accolades. Just quickly, there are some other aspects you may wish to examine. Firstly, that Aspen may actually line up with the T, and the T concept where there's a line and a crossing. And if you look that up on Google Earth, that's Glenwood Springs there, and the area you're looking at is somewhere near No Name Creek, which you may recall from page 23 of The Thrill of the Chase. No matter what I lacked or lost, bad grades and all, they couldn't take away my name. And going back to the T, if you zoom in, you may find there's a bare outline of the chest shape, that familiar angle, which may be representative of something to do with the chest. So there may be any number of references which I haven't picked up regarding the map created by Benchmark Maps. Perhaps that is something for other people to find. To the people at Benchmark Maps, thanks for your contribution. To the extent that anything in this video may illustrate that, I would have hoped that Forrest Fenn would have publicly acknowledged such a contribution. However, it seems that is not to be. For anyone going out looking for any areas related to the Forrest Fenn treasure, please take care of your safety.